April of 2021, members of the Colley boarding community repeatedly wrote discriminatory language in the residence. At the time, I was in grade 11, and I didn't believe something like this would happen at my school. This act of racism shocked our community and goes to show that racism is still present in places of privilege like Appleby College. On behalf of Colley House, I want to express our deepest regrets for this event and the harm it has caused to members of the Appleby community. This highlights the work that is still to be done to combat discrimination in the Appleby College community. This year, it has been our house's role to be accountable for the system in place that allowed the discrimination. Since the first week of meetings, our House Council has undertaken the long-term process of understanding the roots of this racism. We wish to facilitate change by conveying the importance of this issue to the Appleby community. Responsibility for this change lies with the House faculty, the House Council, and all the members of Colley House. This video is a part of the process of accountability and change, and the goal is to continue the conversation on the roots of racism and the importance of accountability. It is time for change.
Hi everyone, Mr. Telling here to talk to you about a few things that are extremely important to both me personally and also to the entire Colley House community. First of all, I want to talk to you about the instance of racism and racial graffiti that occurred in Colley House last year. When this happened in the house, I was actually the person that found the graffiti when I was on duty. Upon discovering these awful symbols of racism, discrimination, and hatred, I was immediately struck with many different types of emotions that ranged from complete shock to anger to deep empathy for the people in our community that I knew would be extremely hurt by these actions. I found it at first hard to believe that something like this could be happening in our community, a place I'd always believed to be a very inclusive and where everyone could feel at home. In an instant that had all changed, and I was left struggling to comprehend how this could have happened and how we would be able to repair the immense damage that this had caused. First, we did a lot of internal reflection and ran sessions with all the members of the House to talk about what had happened, how it had impacted our community, and to educate everyone as to the impact and awful meaning this word carries with it. Despite all the sessions, meetings, and work that had been done to address these incidents, I was still struggling with how this could have happened in our community and had no idea what we could do to ensure that nothing like this ever happened again. Over the summer, I spent a lot of time thinking about this and tried to think about what we could do to move forward. In September, I met with Will, and the first thing we both agreed on was that the work in this area, talking about what had happened, discussing the issues of racism and exclusion, and working to create a fully inclusive environment in Colley House was going to be the main focus of our work moving forward. This year, we've definitely made progress in this area, but what this work has helped me realize is the real importance of continuing to have the conversations and continuing to do the work to educate and work with all the boarders in the House to ensure that we are making the changes we need to ensure that we are supporting each other at all times and creating an environment where the boarders feel included and at home.
Disheartening, disappointed, and defeated. Knowing the potential that Colley has as one of 4 boarding houses to instill positive values, it really took me by surprise, and I felt as though we took steps backwards in realizing that potential.
It was very disappointing to hear what happened last year in Colley House, and it doesn't represent at all what Colley is as a community.
I do feel that in Colley House, I am able to express my religion, gender identity, and my personality to the fullest. However, I do feel that as a general society, casual racism is still a big issue. Throughout the residence, I've witnessed many of my peers make racial remarks, which although seemingly are meant to be lighthearted, with certain individuals, it may not be for others. It is important to mitigate what seems to be normalized by our peers and push for further equality, not only within the residence, but throughout the entire Appleby College community.
I think in reality, people are seeing racism and discrimination far more often than we'd expect, but they do not feel comfortable telling people off since those people might be their friends. This is a difficult problem to tackle, and I do not think that this is a burden that only Colley House should carry, but the entire community of Appleby College.
As a house, the most effective way to combat racism and division within our community is through teamwork. Collaborating and having conversations about our thoughts and our feelings, like we have had most recently on the topics of diversity, equity, and inclusion, allow us to further understand their meaning. This in turn will allow us to combat divisive practices and philosophies within the house. It is also important to get to know one another more by doing more icebreaker games, because by doing so, this will allow us to step into other people's shoes, learn different perspectives, and become an ally who appreciates diversity, equity, and inclusion for a more united community in Colley House.
I think that in general, we need to remind people in the house that issues regarding race and discrimination are serious and can have consequences. And from my own perspective, after living in the house for years and also getting to know other people, I think that everyone recognizes and respects the importance of inclusivity, but sometimes they do these things for maybe entertainment or maybe because they don't realize the bottom line, and we should inform them about this. I think we can add more events that allow people to familiarize with different cultures. As the intercultural rep this year, I recognize that inclusivity oftentimes is prevented by bias and also stereotypes. So learning more about people who are different will foster inclusivity, in my opinion. The potential I refer to is that which comes from a diverse set of worldviews and personal experiences. Every individual in Colley brings forth unique characteristics, skills, values, and attitudes that can be teachings for the next person. In order to capture the essence of this individuality, we must center student voice in event planning and daily Colley endeavors. We must strive to acknowledge and respect differences and to place community at the core of our priorities.